And here we are. After you had the interview with the recruiter, now you received an email saying that we want to interview you again. You will have a phone screen with one of our TPMs. So now is the time for you to shine and make it to the next level or to the next round of interviews. So stay with me and you'll know what to do. Yes, the goal of the phone screen interview is to actually get a feel about whether you are going to be a good candidate or not for the full loop. For that purpose, they are going to do this interview, which is 45 minutes, effectively 40 minutes, because the last 5 are going to be devoted for you to ask any questions about the company or any inquiry that you want, that you have. And during those 45 minutes, they are going to assess 1, your skills when it comes to program management. 2, if you are a good fit from the cultural point of view. And then 3rd, they are going to assess how technical you are. Please understand that in the next round of interviews, there are going to be 2 technical interviews, which are very deep from the technical point of view. So it's very important for Meta to assess candidates previously during this phone screen. It is very important for Meta to assess candidates in this phone screen just to make sure that they are going to be, or they have the highest chances to be successful in the next round. Well, the phone screen interview, even though that it doesn't happen over the phone, it happens over a video conference, is going to be structured into different parts. The first part is related to program management. There are going to be some questions there as well, which are related to cultural fit or behavioral, let's call it in that way. Then there's going to be a second part, which is a systems design interview, or kind of a mini systems design interview. Please bear in mind that out of the 40 minutes that you're going to have for the interview, you're going to have 20 for the first part and 20 for the second part. Even though there is a systems design interview in the next round of interviews in which we call on-site interviews, there's going to be a fundamental difference. Given that there is a short time during the phone screen to actually assess the technical skills of the candidate, the questions are going to be more focused. You are going to be posed with a scenario, and then there are going to be very punctual questions about this scenario, how you would go about these different situations. So the fundamental difference with a full system design interview is that the system design interview is a very open, single question interview in which you will have to come up with everything end to end, as opposed to this mini system design interview part that is happening within the phone screen, which is more directed. For the first part of this interview, which is the one related to program management, expect some questions related to the areas of communication, conflict resolution, risk management, kicking off projects, and prioritization. Be super clear about those areas, not only about what have you done in the past, but also your generic or general strategy that you follow for each one of these aspects when you do program management. And here's a $1 million question. How should I prepare for this kind of interview? The main tip that I can give you for this kind of interview is prepare a matrix of projects. And you are wondering, what is that? So it's super simple. The only thing that you have to do is just to think in retrospective and about all the projects that you've been executing for the last 3 to 5 years. Please take into account only those projects that produce the most impact, because you don't want there to be showcasing small projects, which definitely are irrelevant to the interview. Here in this interview, you want to shine and then be able to be moved to the next phase. So the information that you want in this matrix is 1, all those projects that I was mentioning about. Then the next column will show what was the impact associated to those projects and what were the success metrics. Also, you want to write there what things did really well and what things didn't work that well. What were the challenges that we were faced with and how did you overcome those challenges? There are going to be several situations. that happened during your career, specifically during those projects associated to the matrix that I'm talking about. Please highlight those very challenging situations, problematic situations, conflict resolution. As you can imagine, try to take into account all these aspects that I already mentioned before that were associated to the program management side of this interview, and then map those to all these experiences that you had for all these projects and highlight them, probably with different colors associated to each one. I mean, if you had a very meaningful experience with prioritization, then use yellow and then you color code it and say yellow is for prioritization. Or if you had a very challenging situation with conflict management in which you were successful, then highlight that, I don't know, in pink, and so on and so forth. So you have very good knowledge of all these situations. Please bear in mind that this is not cheating. This is basically jolting your memory in order to remember really fast what you have to talk about. You are not lying here. You are talking about your experience. These are things that you actually did and things in which you were successful. The only thing is that when you are within an interview, there is a lot of pressure due to the time. And it's really difficult to remember things under pressure. In order to make it better for you, put together this matrix, have it there while doing the interview. It could be in another screen, in a laptop, or it could be printed in a sheet of paper. Remember, this matrix will contain a set of bullet points, but you have to be fully aware of what the situation was. Remember, this doesn't have to be a treaty or an essay about your past experiences. I'm talking about bullet points, which are going to help you remember, but you have to be very clear during this interview. It's not only about mentioning, yeah, I had a challenging situation, solving a conflict which I was able to resolve. That will tell nothing to the interviewer, and the interviewer is gonna get a really bad feeling about the information that you are providing. The best way to do here in this scenario is just to be very specific. Meaning, for example, what happened during that situation, provide the context in which the situation was embedded in, and then provide your detailed plan of action on what did you do in order to tackle the problem and what was the outcome. That's the best way to answer these kind of questions. So remember, be very specific, provide concise and concrete information. Do not beat around the bushes when answering a question. So if you are asked about a conflict resolution situation, go straight for it. Don't lose a lot of time giving context, and just provide like a 30-second context just to give the interviewer a sense of what you're talking about, and then go straight to answer the question. Do not lose time. It is important for you to actually remember what are the focus areas here. These questions are going to be related to program management, prioritization, risk management, influencing other people, since basically that's what we do in our day-to-day basis as TPMs. We influence other people. We don't have any formal authority over anyone. It's just about influence, communication, ownership, and time management. So be very wary about all these topics. Look into your past experience and see how you can find different situations that can reflect how successful you are in all these aspects. And when it comes to the systems design interview or the mini systems design interview that is embedded into this phone screen, well, there could be a lot of scenarios here. And it's difficult for me to actually talk about all the different scenarios that could be infinite. But definitely, one thing that you have to do is basically to polish your skills when it comes to system design, refresh on technical concepts and typical architectures for systems. And one thing that is very important is refresh your knowledge when it comes to different data technologies. That's given probably in this interview and for the other interviews that you're going to experience in the full loop. Go to the web, research about data technologies, the different data technologies that we currently in the market, meaning relational, wide columnar, key value pair, document-based, etc., etc. Look for the best cases in which to apply these technologies and the cases in which these technologies are not so good. Let me repeat this. Go to the web, research about data technologies, the different data technologies that we currently in the market, meaning relational, white columnar, key value pair, document based, etc., etc. Look for the best cases in which to apply these technologies and the cases in which these technologies are not so good. So you remember that is very important. So remember, be kind, be smart, and above everything, have fun.